president of Real Blue Sky. We are a consultancy focused on really making accessible big company CX capabilities, but making that accessible to the small to mid-sized business market. And it's really about bringing blue sky customer experience to those organizations and making it real. I've been in customer experience management professionally for, 35 years now,
Oh,
and uh, really focused on, for the most of my career, focused on supporting large global brands. And 9 years ago, sort of returned to my entrepreneurial roots and started Real Blue Sky, as I say, to make that sort of uh, big brand customer experience, those capabilities and the approaches
right.
accessible for the SMB market.
No, that's quite interesting to note, actually. That's very interesting, right? And I was actually about to ask you, so before we start, maybe can you introduce Red Blue Sky? But I think you've already done that, so which is great. And are your ambitions looking going global or USPs?
So certainly most of our clients are in North America, the US and Canada, but I've worked with business leaders in Mexico, across Europe, South Africa. So it really is a global business, and it's much broader than just contact centers and that. So we really do look at the complete customer experience.
So, I mean, CXNet, we one of the things what we are doing as part of the CXNet is to probably bring together what do you call as the organizations which are using customer experience and to improve their delivery, right? So using technology. So a lot of technology players are bringing together a lot of people players because people is going to play a very important role in delivering the CX piece, right? So bringing those together, and of course the user community, the people who are going to be users of the CX. So the idea of CXNet is to bring all those together both in India and outside of India, and help companies like yours, for example, to get a voice in with the right kind of users, right kind of companies which are trying to use the solutions or use your consulting on how to integrate multiple CX technologies and provide
Mm.
a more seamless thing. Things like agentic AI is trying to revolutionize the way CX delivery is happening, especially at the customer service level. So how those things are emerging, the new technology, how AI is coming, how human interface is bringing it together, all those things are really critical. And we are trying to create this platform where we bring people together to discuss, to collaborate, and to have a more win-win situation for all. That's the idea of CXNet. Yeah. So good to have you. Let's start. I mean, this is more of a discussion rather than an interview. So I think my first question to you. I mean, you said you have been involved with the CX for last probably more than 3 decades. How has this CX evolved over the years, according to you? And especially, what are the key shifts that you have observed in the way businesses approach CX today as compared to what they were doing maybe 10 years later or even 5 years later? Because there's a lot of
Sure.
things have happened in the last 2, 3 years, especially with the advent of AI. So what has been your experience in the way how you see things changing over the years?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say that over the past decade, the biggest shift that I've seen isn't just in how companies deliver on customer experience, but how they even define customer experience. A decade ago, CX was still largely reactive. It was measured in post-interaction surveys, service recovery playbooks, and speed of support. It was often seen as a function that lived within customer service or perhaps marketing. And back then, most businesses looked at customer experience as a series of touch points that they needed to optimize. And today, CX is more strategic. Leading organizations now treat it as a growth lever baked into their business model. It's not just bolted onto their org chart. And so experience is no longer confined to the contact center or to a marketing campaign. It spans product design, not just and employee enablement, operational agility,
Right,
and really the culture of the organization. And customers expect not just speed, but relevance. They expect empathy and they expect consistency across digital and human channels alike. We've also shifted from insights to foresight. So 10 years ago, we were thrilled to analyze customer feedback after the fact.
right,
But now, with the right technology and operational discipline, smart businesses are predicting needs. They're personalizing the journey and preventing friction before it even happens. But
right,
perhaps the most meaningful change is the recognition that customer experience is inseparable from employee experience and from leadership, or what I call organizational experience. Organizations that really outperform have leaders who model the behavior that they want their employees to deliver, and they structure the business around the customer, not just the product. And we help growth-minded leaders turn those insights into actions, not just about chasing every little trend, like AI, of course, is today,
right.
but it's about building systems that let you scale genuine connection with your customers. So you're developing relationship.
Right. I mean, that's I completely agree with you in terms of the journey it has happened.
Mm.
It's no longer something which is like a part of the campaign or at the point of delivery system, but I think it's more strategic and encompassing probably the entire value chain from production design to the delivery and probably the post sale and after sales stuff as well. So I think completely agree with you. And also I think what has also happened is that CX is no longer a Fortune 500 kind of a play. It is now something which is going down at the SME levels, as the small medium business level. Uh, I mean, as an expert in this area, and since you are talking to a lot of SMBs day in and day out, what are the most significant CX challenges and opportunities which you see when you have a discussion with small business, which are very specific to small business, especially when they want to scale up? Yeah. So, what are those which you see which are not there in the Fortune 500, very specific to these SMBs?
And again, super question. Thank you for that. Small businesses today face this really interesting paradox. The expectation that they deliver big brand experience on a small business budget. And on a global scale, the most pressing challenge is this customer expectation inflation. Consumers now compare every single interaction, regardless of the industry or the company size, to the most seamless digital experience they've ever had. Whether it's Amazon's one-click checkout or Apple's frictionless support, those become the new baseline. And that's a tall order for a growing business with limited staff or tools or time to deliver on. Another key challenge is internal alignment. So many small to mid-sized businesses don't lack passion or commitment, they lack clarity. And without a unifying CX strategy, the efforts are often fragmented. One team focuses on tech upgrades, and another team focuses on marketing automation. And then frontline employees who are interacting with the customers are left navigating those customer frustrations without the right tools or the right context for how to interact with that customer. But here's the opportunity. It's agility. So SMBs are not weighed down by the bureaucracy that we have in large organizations. They can move faster. They can test smarter. They can connect more personally to the customer. And unlike their enterprise counterparts, small businesses can turn feedback into action in days or weeks, not months or quarters. And that's a competitive edge, not a constraint. So for growth-minded SMBs, The need isn't more complexity. It's clear, scalable frameworks for crafting experiences that build trust, build loyalty, and that help differentiate them. And that's exactly what we help our clients create. We translate those enterprise grade CX strategies into practical, profitable
Right,
action plans for smaller organizations so that they can compete on experience, not just price.
right,
Because in today's economy, your customer experience really is your brand.
right, right. Absolutely true. And would you say that because of the accessibility of these technological solutions to the SMBs now than it was probably 3 years, 5 years back?
Oh, no, no question. I would agree with that. When I started in this industry, everything, all technology was on premise. We had very expensive wide area networks to connect
Right,
multiple locations, to access technology that was run on very expensive systems. The software was very expensive. Today, I just got back from Customer Contact Week. The technology that's available to the SMB market that is cloud-based, easy to access, uh, easy to integrate with other tools is
right,
just incredible. So there are in that area alone some tremendous opportunities for SMB leaders to make the most of technology.
right,
One of the things that I find that's interesting, though, and I see this across the board, not just in the SMB space, but in enterprise as well, is this chasing of the next shiny object, which today is AI, and it is all over the place, and it's a little overwhelming, frankly, for most
right.
business
I
leaders.
absolutely, absolutely.
But what I observe is that they tend to be asking the wrong questions. They tend to ask the question, how do we use AI? How do we use the bright, shiny object that is out there to compete? And what they really need to be looking at is what is the challenge that they're trying to solve, and what are the best tools to solve that challenge? Because it may be AI, but it may just be RPA, robotic process automation. So there are a variety of solutions available, but we need to be focused on the challenges that we're trying to address in the organization and how we're trying to address the needs of our customers.
No, I completely agree with that point, and sometimes smart automation is passed off as an AI. So, but that's a discussion for a different day. But coming back to the accessibility to technology, it also poses a challenge. Of course, yes, it has redefined the way companies are delivering CX. But what is, in your view and in your experience, uh, how can the businesses strike a balance between AI automation or whatever technology they're using and the human intervention? Uh, because that's something which in many countries, of course, there can be a cultural issues, that there can be cost issues or whatever. But how do these organizations try to strike that balance? Where do you hand over a AI chatbot to a real human agent? Or where do you start managing the checkout through a human intervention thing? So, how do they strike this balance?
Boy, yeah, that's such a significant question. Uh, and the key to scaling meaningful customer experiences isn't about choosing between automation or human touch. It's knowing where and how each one adds value. Automation is great for efficiency, and it should handle the predictable, repetitive, low emotion interactions. Things like order tracking or appointment reminders or basic account updates when someone calls in for the hours for your location. When that's done right, it frees up people to focus on what only humans can do, which is to really listen, interpret, empathize, and develop trust. Too many businesses make the mistake of over automating. They deploy technology as a replacement for connection instead of a bridge to it. And that's when customers start to feel like ticket numbers, not people. So the real opportunity lies in orchestrating the automation and service of the human experience, not the other way around. Let me repeat that. The opportunity is in orchestrating the automation to serve the human experience, not to serve the automation, right? So, for example, an intelligence system might detect frustration in a chat interaction and escalate it from a bot to a live agent before the customer ever even asks. Or it might equip your frontline team with contextual insights so that every conversation feels personal, even at scale. Now, the future belongs to businesses that can master that tech-enabled empathy and deliver speed and convenience without losing an authentic human touch. And that's why we help leaders design CX strategies that balance systems and souls. Because when you scale connections, not just the operation, you don't just serve more customers, you keep more of them too.
Yeah. No, and I really like that because that is something where a lot of organizations, in order to be in the race to adopt technology, are missing the key or the core point of empathy and trust, which are essential
Mhm.
in delivering a CX. So I think so. So enough of technology. Let's go to the building blocks. Let's go to the basics. Because CX has been there since time immemorial, right? And what and I think you will agree to me with me that any organization's DNA needs to be in line with what it is trying to do in terms of its customer experience and customer delivery, right? Uh, what do you see as as someone who's talking to global markets and looking at cultural changes, etc.? What kind of things you see? Okay, these are the basic building blocks of an organization, the DNA of an organization, the basic rules or the tenets of a leadership, which will ensure a, a superior CX all the time for their customers.
Wow. That's actually the subject of the book that I'm working on.
Oh,
And so, so I appreciate that you asked that question that way because organizations, we need to, as a business enterprise, we need to be delivering services or products that are impeccable, that meet customer needs. So those are table stakes. But what a lot of organizations miss are those things that uh, aren't part of what we think of servicing or sales or product development most of the time. I call them craft, the craft agilities, and it stands for culture alignment, or so culture alignment agility, results agility, awareness of the customer, fitment of our people, and what I call the trust agility, which is really emotional intelligence kind of on steroids. And so driving culture alignment where not only are we delivering, we're asking our frontline employees to be focused on the customer. We're developing products or services that are focused on the customer and meeting their needs. But then leadership is walking the walk as well. They're not undermining that. One of the things that I commonly see in organizations is in the contact center scenario where we're handling phone calls or texts, chat messages, emails. We look at financial metrics like average handle time and we talk to our frontline employees about, they need to get their handle time down. Well, that's a financial metric. That's not customer centered. And so we've got this disjointedness. We're out of alignment in the culture that we're driving in the organization. I was talking about leadership and culture alignment earlier. Results is about measuring the right things, right? So measuring outcomes, not activities, and knowing how to drive continuous improvement in the organization. Awareness is simply knowing who our customer is and listening to them at the point when they interact with us. I saw a cartoon recently that showed a customer in the first block. It showed the customer sharing with the representative they were chatting with how the product, it was an app, wasn't working, wasn't meeting their needs. They couldn't change their address. They couldn't do this and that. And then subsequently, in the next block in the cartoon, the company is coming back with a lengthy survey asking the customer what they think. Clearly there's a disjointedness. The customers shared what they think, and a lot of organizations don't have mechanisms then to do something with that. And then we come back and we survey our customers to death with these lengthy surveys that oftentimes we're simply using to measure trending instead of actually taking action on them.
No, no,
I'll just
I completely agree. And
mm,
while you are on that question, sorry to interrupt, but I also want to know your views on NPS. Is it too dated now in the current environment?
I think that really depends on the organization. And NPS should not be about where we are on some global scale. It's a point in time metric, and should help us understand where we are from a trending standpoint. But no metric should be used on its own. So every organization is going to have different metrics that make sense for them. And in some cases, it may be speed to response, but we need to be looking at soft metrics too. And technology can really help us measure things like customer sentiment as well as their intent so that we get a better sense of, in some cases, in an interaction, multiple intents that the customer approached us with in terms of their need. Maybe they were curious about a product that they saw online and they've got questions, and maybe they were frustrated, but we were able to shift that. So we went from frustration to them being pleased with the interaction. We went from coming in to get clarity about a product to maybe they chose to move into a different product, or wanted help then making a buying decision between multiple products. So being able to leverage the technology to track that and whether or not we were able to impact the customer sentiment, that's huge because that's going to help us better understand whether that customer is going to stay.
Yeah, I think, and I completely agree with you because I also feel very strongly, these are my personal views, that uh, are we measuring the right thing through an NPS, and why are we painting the same with the same set of questions whether you are selling services or products or whatever. I mean, you can't paint everything with the same brush, right? So
That's right.
that's
That's right. And I work with clients who, some of them sell services like I've worked with very regulated clients in wealth management and other financial services, working with a law firm presently,
right.
all the way to products. And sometimes those are lower price point products. I've got one uh, business that I've worked with where they're selling very high end products to very specific clientele. And and so what they measure, how they're measuring is going to be different in each of those scenarios.
Absolutely.
And so it very much needs to be a tailored approach that makes sense to that organization and really to their customers. Uh,
Right,
they need to have great awareness of who their customers are and what's going to be significant there.
right, right. Okay, so my last question is, and I've been asking this to probably everyone who comes and I have an opportunity to talk to them is, what two or three core changes you foresee in the next coming years, which organizations should be really careful about when they are planning a CX strategy?
Mm, mm. Well, goodness, customer expectations are really continuing to evolve. And in a world where they're shifting faster than strategy decks, agility is not any longer just a competitive advantage. It's really a requirement. But agility without being intentional becomes chaotic. And so to deliver value-driven experiences across markets, organizations need to root their adaptability in foundational clarity, I think. And so four strategies that I think every growth-focused business should adopt would be these. Uh, First off, center everything around the customer's evolving context, not just their profile. So demographics don't explain behavior. Organizations need to build a dynamic listening system to understand what matters to the customer right now and respond accordingly. The next would be operationalizing empathy. So, empathy isn't soft, it's not just a soft skill, it's strategic. And companies that embed emotional intelligence into their hiring, into their training, and their customer journeys, they're better equipped to flex as those expectations are evolving. Uh, and that's really how you deliver relevance at scale. Next, I would say design for simplicity, not just scalability. So global reach uh, often breeds unnecessary complexity, but customers everywhere value clarity, speed, and ease.
Right.
And so most agile companies simplify decision making, they reduce friction, and they empower the frontline teams to solve problems fast. And that's huge, empowering frontline teams. Uh, Finally, I'd say building a culture that embraces feedback and acts on it. That was that awareness agility I was referencing. And whether it's from your customers or it's feedback from your employees, feedback is your agility engine. It only fuels transformation, though, when leaders listen actively, when they act decisively and they close the loop. And that's why we help businesses translate those principles into action. So they're not just reacting to change, but they're leading through change. And agility, I don't want to cause confusion here. Agility isn't just about moving quickly, it's about moving with purpose and doing it with our people and with our customers in mind.
Right. Right. Excellent. Excellent. No, I completely agree with these 3 points, and I personally feel simplification is probably the most important thing because that's what customers are looking for, and organizations sometimes make things too complex in order to, outshine, and as a result of which, they lose on the customer experience. Wonderful speaking with you, Brian, today. It was a pleasure. And it was quite insightful to understand, what are the new things which you're thinking about. And especially, I look forward to that book which you're writing. Once it is ready, please share the copy. I would be very interested to go through that. All the best, and you have a lovely day ahead, right?
Thank you so much. And really, the best way to keep up on the status of the book is to navigate to thenextcxeconomy.com. That's the title of the book. So
Okay.
thenextcxeconomy.com, and folks can get updates on the book, and there'll be some special offers for folks that pre-order when it becomes available in the fall.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much.